Hey, it works.
Oh shit, that's loud. Hold on. Holy hell. All right. I think
Just
we
blew.
got you now.
I just blew your eardrums out.
Yeah. Well, now you're too quiet though. I can barely hear you.
Gotta get just right.
All right. I think I got it now.
Are you good
That's
now?
probably
Are
good.
your eardrums
Yeah,
good?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of look alike, right?
Yeah, a little bit. You're a little
A
overgrown
little bit.
compared to me.
Yeah.
Dude, if
I
I
have a
grow a long beard, I become Poseidon. Like my hair just immediately waves.
That's how
Yeah.
I think this is terminal length for me. Like I
Yeah.
can't really get it much longer without it. I
Yeah.
mean, you'll get like a couple of them that get
I'll
scraggly.
find a picture and I'll put it in the video version. But like when I get to like here, it's just straight up like
Yeah.
so wavy, and I just look like I'm from the ocean. So
I've been wanting to cut mine off recently, but my kids are like fighting me. They want me to keep it, which I don't really understand. I feel like they'd be the opposite. Like, get rid
yeah.
of it.
What you gotta do is you gotta scare them. You gotta just like not tell them, and then shower and shave it, like razor shave it, and then they won't
I,
recognize you at all.
listen, I did that. My daughter was like, I don't know, probably a year and a half old. And I had this beard, probably this size, right? And then she laid down for a nap and I cut the whole thing off down to skin. She started crying when she woke up when I went in to get her. So now I won't do that. I won't do it unseen again, but it was funny.
Who's this creepy ass man in my room?
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, so what's going on? I finally fucking corralled you to do something.
No, man, I'm sorry. It's so hard to tie me down right now. We're so busy and it's probably because we're short staffed, but we're just so busy, dude. It's insane right now. This is
Yeah.
probably honestly the busiest we've ever been. And
Yeah.
I felt like at first it was just because things were going bad, like we wouldn't get through a single day without some kind of hiccup. But now past couple days things have been running smooth and we're still can't get anywhere on the schedule. Like the timing is absolutely insane. I feel bad. I feel like we're short changing some of the clients, but
Yeah.
I mean, they're all right with it for the most part. We don't really get too many where's my shit emails or
Yeah. Well, I feel like right now, I mean, you don't want to use it as an excuse, but there's a lot of people who are just like understand that things are taking longer due to like Corona stuff. So
yeah, we get a lot of late shipments too, which kind of like
dude, that's the worst right now.
has been messing things up for us.
We've been
Or
getting
like,
stuff super late from the distros, or it's missing stuff, or when you try to order blanks, like so much stuff is out of stock. Like you could order something and a customer wants like small through like 3X, and all the 2X
yeah,
and 3X are gone out of everything.
I know. I can't tell you how many orders recently I've had to piece together from like
Yeah.
4 suppliers, or I've even had to sign up for accounts with suppliers I've never used before just to
Just
get
to
some
get what they
stuff.
have.
Yeah, just to get what they need. Yeah. Yeah, man.
I
So
feel like anybody who tries to get like a Next Level or a Bella or anything like that, it's like, oh, you want 2X? Mm-mm. And then I have to
I
like,
know. Unless it's black or white.
yeah, it's
Luckily
been
we print a
awful.
lot of black shirts.
Yeah. How did this whole thing affect you when it first started, like Corona wise? Did you guys kind of like slow down in the beginning for the first couple of weeks?
No, so the first couple weeks we actually kept at our normal pace for probably 3 weeks because I mean that's just how much backlogged work we've had.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think for probably like a month we were slow, but we were printing every single day. We just get done at 2 or done at 1 or done at 3.
Yeah.
And then I'd say maybe a week before PA went back to like I don't know what it was, yellow or green, whatever the phase was, where like you can start doing shit again. Yeah, I feel like probably like a week before that, we just got slammed, and we've been underwater ever since.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to complain, but we need to figure out some of our inefficiencies. This is like this past 2 months has taught me a lot about where our inefficiencies really are. There's things that you'd see that you are bad, but then there's other things that kind of like when you're this busy, you realize like, oh, if I could just shave 5 minutes off that or 10 minutes off that, it really make a huge difference over the course of a day.
Yeah.
We've been trying to fix those and, you know, try and figure out how to run some of the things a little more smoothly so that we're wasting less time.
Yeah. Do you have
It's just
anything
hard, man. It's just me and my wife, you know.
Yeah.
It's just the two of us. So it's hard when something goes wrong, like there's not much you can really do. I mean, you don't have extra hands. We don't have another press. We don't, you know, we don't have any of that. So
Yeah. Have you had your press go down?
Once, but it was only on one head 5. Of course, it's a 7-color press. Of course, I had a 7-color job that day, but I just bumped it to the next day. I had to get, or 2 days from then, I had to get new cylinders.
What'd you do before you started the home shop?
So before screen printing, I was actually in offset printing.
Oh, right.
I did. Yeah.
So you went from printing to printing?
Yeah. So, well, I wasn't a printer in offset. Well, no, that's a lie. I did a little bit, but it was a lot of, right before screen printing, it was a lot of sales. I was selling for an offset shop, which was okay, but it kind of tanked. I'd say like the last 2 years I was there, everything was starting to go digital. You know, we'd have like 6-figure college clients, and they put all their course books online. They stopped printing them. So that's kind of when I started doing something else. And I started like probably like what most screen printers do. They start like a little clothing brand or something. Mm-hmm. So I started that. And then the guy that was printing my shirts was kind of a bum, for lack of a nicer word, but he was just terrible. And I'm like, it's got to be easier than this. Like, it's got to be better than what this guy's doing. I mean, he's old school, like sandpaper, you know, prints. And so I started screen printing just so I could print my own shirts. Yeah. You know, my own designs. And then it snowballs, as you know. Mm-hmm. So just kind of snowballed from there. And we just did, you know, the dining room tables type shit for a while. And then this is all like within the first 2 years probably were like super slow. We weren't really doing it to be a full-time job. I was just doing it to have fun and do it. Right, like a side thing. It was really like probably year 3, and we're going on this is year 6. So really like year 3 is when we kind of really started getting into it. Mm-hmm. Before that, still had full-time jobs. I'd do it in the evenings, you know, after my daughter went to sleep. She was only like 2 at the time. You know, I'd do it, and then 12 o'clock becomes 1 o'clock, becomes 3 a.m. You know, soon enough, you're getting like 2 hours of sleep a day, and you're like, just gotta go all in at this point. I've been doing that ever since. I sleep terribly. So do I, man. There's nights I'm out here till midnight, and then I go inside, and I'm so wired up from working that, you know, especially if I'm out here printing, I'll go inside and lay on the couch till like 2 a.m. Yeah. And just veg out for a little bit. I think I did that on like Monday or Tuesday. I like was working late. I got home, and I think it was like 11:30, and I was like, I'm not tired. I think I'll just watch a show. And I remember my phone died, and I was like, didn't care what time it was. I put on a movie, didn't realize it was like a 3-hour movie. And then when it got done, in my mind, I thought it was like, oh, it's like 1 o'clock. That's like pretty normal for me to go to bed. And it was like almost 3. And I was like, I'm a fucking moron. Like, I'm supposed to be awake in like, you know, like 4 hours. What time you guys start in the morning? We 8? Start at 9, but like I get here usually around 8. So that means I'm up at my house at like 7:30. So, well, you live right around the corner, right? Didn't I hear that? Yeah. Okay. I can coast down the hill. Like, if I was to open this window, you could probably see my house from here. Is that the train tracks behind you? Mm-hmm. Okay. And the train tracks are only like 15 feet from the building. Yeah, I remember passing your shop that day. Dude, we were literally lost. I think we were looking for coffee or something on the way to Ithaca. I forgot about that. And I drove past your shop, and I'm like, what the hell? That's Upstate merch right there. I was like, never been in that town before, never been down any of them streets before, like just casually rolled
It's
past.
wicked funny. Just roll past
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And then I never made it in because I got kids in the car, and
Yeah.
no family wants to stop and let me talk for like 2 hours, you know, when they're trying to get home or whatever. So
We get that all the time too, because we're like right off 81. So people are always like, "Oh, I drove through there." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm literally like 1 minute from the exit." Like you
you are.
came in and
You
said,
legit
hey.
are. That town, is that only as big as the town is, like from the exit to your shop?
Mm-hmm.
What's it called? Whitney.
Whitney Point.
That's right. All right.
The village of Whitney Point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really just those like that main street there. There's actual main street that's got like the old school buildings like from, you know, like 150, 200 years ago or whatever. And then off of that is like you can get back on the highway basically. And before that is like your usual like McDonald's, Arby's, shit like that, the bank.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like this is the town.
Yeah, it was small.
Which I'm cool with.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a small town. We're in Lancaster County, like the Lancaster County umbrella, the county basically, but Lidditz, the town that we're in, is pretty small. Not nearly as small as what you guys got there, but it's been a small town, and only recently have they really started developing and kind of being, more modern age.
We're just in a really nice spot because we're in a small town where there's like nothing really happens as far as like you don't have to worry about somebody, you know, breaking into your house or, you know, anything like that. But like we're 15 minutes from Binghamton, which is a pretty big city. We're 45 minutes from Syracuse. We're half hour from Ithaca, 2 hours from New York City. So it's like, but anywhere you want to go, you can go relatively quickly.
Right.
I guess you say you started a clothing line. Did that kind of fizzle out?
I kind of got bored. I kind of got bored with it. And surprisingly though, I found somebody to actually buy it.
Really?
Which was like a shocker. Yeah. So I just kind of got over it. And at that point, I was starting to print more for other people than really myself. And so that kind of really took over my time. And I guess the interest I just kind of lost interest in it, and found someone, sold it, and then just snowballed screen printing all the way to where we are.
How'd you learn how to print?
So initially, like way back when I first started, to even learn how to like make a screen and basically all the basics was through Ryanette's videos on YouTube. And then from there, just trial and error. Order 100 shirts, get 40 good ones out of it. You know, a lot of wasted money.
That's not good odds.
No. But that was like, dude, that was way back when. And honestly, I originally started with Plastisol, and like the first job that I did for somebody else was white Plastisol. Absolutely fucking terrible. Like just downright, probably like 1 out of every 4 was good. And so I actually got like pretty irritated with it, to the point where I was like, there's got to be another way. And so I started looking into discharge, and that's kind of like where we kind of got started with discharge and water based, because I was like, man, this white is so easy, you know, until you wash it and the ink falls off, because I cured it with a heat gun and it looks good, but it's not really cured. But that's kind of where that started. Where we really got started with water based and discharge was just because I thought way back then Plastisol was too hard. You know, it was hard to get a good print.
Well, white's the hardest one.
Of course, and of course, knowing what you know now, like, you know, the ink's got to be warm and sheared, you know, all that crap. But back then, I was just smashing it through a low mesh screen and trying to get something good out of it. And with polish a turd all day.
Like, are you using water based for everything?
No, we don't use it for everything. I use it anytime I can.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I say that because there are some jobs that probably could be printed with water-based and discharge or water-based. But our shop environment isn't, it's not the best, especially in the summer. It's brutally hot in here.
Mm-hmm.
Dries out way too quick. So we try and stay away from high color count stuff sometimes just because of the environment.
Yeah.
Other times I'll wait till nighttime to print it just to try and make it go easier. But no, we definitely don't do all water-based, even though I'd like to, because cleanup is way nicer, way easier. Yeah. Fraction of the time. So we still do a good bit of Plastisol, mainly just out of ease of printing, and if the client's not particular, we'll see what they want to do and then kind of go from there. There are some clients that we print for that are 100% water-based, like they don't want any Plastisol, and that's cool. We'll do them, even if it's not an ideal shop environment at the time. We'll find a way to get it done.
Are you guiding them into that?
Missing more.
Yeah. Are you talking them into water-based, or are they knowledgeable enough mostly?
No, most of the time. So if it's someone that we've never worked with, we've found that there's so many clients that don't really get it or even know that there's a difference. So we actually do try and talk most new clients into it, as long as it's feasible for us to print what they want to print with it.
Right.
Like we'll do like 1 or 2 color jobs on poly with water-based, but I'm not going to do like a 6 color, on a tri-blend with HSA. That just doesn't work well in our shop. So we do talk them into it when it's possible. And then once they're into it, once we've done a couple of jobs for them, then they kind of rely on us to say, hey, this job will turn out better as water-based, or this job will turn out better as Plastisol. So even some clients that we do water-based for, there are some jobs that we're doing as Plastisol, just because we'll get better. I know what we are capable of here, and so we might get better results Plastisol than water-based. So I try and base that decision too, like not only just on the environment at the time, but also what I think we're going to put out the best product with. If it means running Plastisol, but it's going to be a better product, I try and steer them that way.
Yeah.
Even if they're asking for water-based. So it's really dependent on projects and clients.
That's pretty much the same thing we do, is just base it on the artwork and base it on the job. It's never like we only do Plastisol, we only do water-based. It's what's best for the customer for this particular thing. Do you ever mess with like discharge under base and then Plastisol on top?
Yeah, I try and only do that. Like if we're doing Plastisol, I try and only do discharge under base, unless of course it's like a tri-blend or something.
Yeah.
I just love the way, like, you can't beat that. Like that to me
that's the best,
like,
in my opinion.
That's the best of both worlds. It puts out an awesome product, and it's so much nicer to print. We get like a 7 color job in here, and you're fighting it, because it's got to go around twice or whatever for water base. You put a discharge under base on it, and I mean, there's minimal difference between what you're printing and what you would put out with water base.
Well, it's basically like printing Plastisol on a white t-shirt as far as like feel. So
yeah.
We
do quite a bit of that. Yeah. What do you guys use for the underbase? You just use a pre-mixed one, or you mix it?
We use the CCIU base.
Yeah, that's what we use too. I used to mix it myself, but it was getting to, I felt like it was almost too thick, even with, I think we even did like 70% clear and 30% white, but now we just buy the CCI. After trying it, there's no reason.
I feel like
no reason to
I feel like the
yourself.
U base is like really good, like thickness. It's creamy, it's good. The consistency is that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
Yeah.
prints really good. The only thing I don't like about it is just the inconsistencies in shirt brand of like how it's going to look, like how white it's going to look, or if it's going to end up looking more gray or washed
Right.
out.
Right. We honestly don't come into too many scenarios where it doesn't provide what you want. All Style recently is like the only one. We used to do a lot of discharge on All Style shirts, and we've been getting so many. I don't know if they're redyes or just bad dyes or
That's the
what. But
problem. That's usually what happens with us. Like and we're using so many different brands that it's hard to gauge exactly how it's going to turn out. But we usually have the issue with like Next Levels, I feel like, where all the extra
dude, I
larges
know,
will
I
look
know.
different. And it's like, well, these are
I ran
overdized.
a job. Yeah, I ran a job 2 weeks ago that all the smalls and extra smalls turned out totally, different than the rest of them. And I kind of stopped even offering discharge on Next Levels because
Mm-hmm.
of that reason. Because you get into it, and then all you're doing is wasting your time,
Yeah.
to try and make something work. That's why we love, like right now, we love Bella and Canvas. And
Mm-hmm.
somebody told me recently, and I didn't know this, but they actually have a pledge that
They won't
no
overdye.
shirts will ever. They won't. Yeah, they won't redye anything.
Yeah,
So
I know. I saw
that
that.
what you're getting is going to work. And I
Yeah.
didn't know that before, but that, they've been our favorite for a long time just because of how consistent the results are. You don't ever have to test, one of each size to make sure they're going to be good before you run the whole job. You can just
Yeah.
run them.
Yeah, we've been doing that for probably the last 2 years, is trying to sell as much Bella as we can just because of that. Like, I feel like the 3001 CVC is like our all-time favorite customer shirt. Like, they
Yeah.
always say, like, we've done shirts for so long where people are happy with the shirt, happy with the print and everything, but they don't ever say like, this is my favorite feeling shirt, like the best fit. But we hear that
Right.
all the time with the 3001 CVC. They're just like, oh, it fits so good, I like to wear it.
Yeah.
So we try to sell that as much as
We
we
get
can.
we get a mixed bag. Yeah, we get a mixed bag between that and the 3600 Next Levels. Obviously, as a printer, I prefer the 3001, but we do get a lot of clients that like the 3600s.
Yeah.
So it's kind of is what it is. We just make them aware that if they want to, if they want to use that, you either got to accept the discharge results or we can't really
Yeah.
do it. I mean, we just, in this shop, like with how much we have going on, I just don't have the time to set up a multicolored discharge and then find out that two sizes aren't going to print and then tear it all down and redo screens. So we try and come to an agreement before
Mm-hmm.
we even get to press about what we're going to do.
Right.
If they do want it, and then, if they're too bad, what do we do? Are you going to take them? Are you not going to take them? So we
Yeah.
kind of air that out before we get there.
Yeah. What did you guys end up doing? Did you just put a shop in your garage, or did you build a garage?
So we actually bought, we came from a basement shop. We were in a basement of a townhouse that I was actually renting. And that was bad. We like, dude, I put like,
I love how
I
it made
had
you
my buddies
pause.
my buddy's an electrician, and I like had him come in at night and put in 220 electric, like without the landlord's notice, and so I could run a dryer down there. And so no, we came from a basement shop, and we specifically were looking for a house with a spot for the business, and we found this one, and the garage is like 8 years old, probably 10 years old now. It's a decent sized garage. It's like 1,800 square feet. It's actually bigger than my house, that's probably like the start of a redneck joke or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, we fit in here. When we first started in here, we had a ton of space because we were still manual, small dryer, no
Mm-hmm.
auto, none of the, not even a fraction of the stuff we have now. And now we've been out of space for at least a year, but we're trying to hack it out for a little bit till we decide what we want to do. We really want to build a new shop,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure if that's going to be feasible around here because land is so expensive.
Yeah.
So we're trying, at this point, we're trying to figure out what we want to do. But for now, we're just making it work. It's tight. and I'm 6'6", so luckily there's 10-foot ceilings, but it's so tight in here, man, with boxes and the auto and the dryers, and it's really tight.
Yeah.
Actually, behind me, like behind those doors back there, that's our screen and ink room. And then we have a full upstairs too, which is nice, but it's not finished yet, so it gets brutally hot in the summer. So it's almost unworkable. We store stuff up there, and we actually, the manuals up there. We do like fulfillment jobs up there, and but yeah, we definitely need more space. We've needed more space for a long time.
Yeah.
Not quite sure what our next move is. That's kind of what we're figuring out, like right now.
Yeah. We've had that problem. Like when I bought this building, I was like, there's no fucking way we're ever going to fill this space. Like we were talking about this the other day, where basically out where the shop is, when we first got here, we had like 2 dryers and like 4 manuals, and they were so tiny in the middle of the space. And then every year we've grown. And then even before I bought the Gauntlet, I was like, there's no way, like we're still going to have room. And then as soon as we got the Gauntlet in, I was like, we're fucked. Like we have space, but it's press. Like, yeah, like we have space. It's fine. But like, I can't put any more in here. Like if we ever want to get anything else, I have to like add on.
So that space that you're renovating now, that was you've owned that the whole time, right?
Yeah.
And you just leased it out to someone, or?
Yeah. So like the building's super long, and like it's kind of like in thirds. So like our section was the biggest, but it was all ours. And then next door was like an antique store. Well, it was empty, and I rented it out to an antique store. And then the other end, we renovated completely last year. Like that was empty. That was like gross old storage space. Like originally what it was is when it was an Agway, they had huge grain tanks in there. So like when I bought the building, the grain tanks were still in there. So we had to like rip them out and then like scrap them. And then the floor had huge holes in it. The ceiling had huge holes in it. And then last year I spent whatever it was, like 50 grand to just like renovate it and like get the floor fix this, like all new roof, all spray foam roof, all new electric, everything. And now it's like, luckily whoever's in there now running it wanted it to look like rustic, because she's selling like rustic furniture. But it's done and ready. Like it's one of the best places in the whole building, just because it's like more energy efficient, like all new electric, everything. But
so nobody's occupying that right now. Nobody's occupying that end.
Yeah, they are. She's been running it for like a year now. I think she just has been here a year, but I've owned the building for like 10 years. So for 9 years it was empty. But yeah, next door, well, basically my whole shop, we've renovated everything, like all new electric, all new walls, all new plumbing. We put in 3-phase, all that stuff. But the antique store has always had a tenant in it since I bought the building. And it was like the old building, like no insulation, shitty windows, shitty electric, like really scary electric. Like people would cut wires in the wall and like, splice them together.
Knob and wire shit, yeah.
Dude, like straight up, literally somebody would like cut a hole in the wall, pull the wire out, splice in another wire, twist them together, and push it back in the wall. Like no wire nuts.
Like, don't worry, there's not an insulation or anything in there,
dude, right? Sketchy as shit. So
that's crazy. Yeah.
We literally killed all the electric. Like we did that like a couple months ago now. So there's no electric live over there at all. It's like completely gone. So we gutted it down to the studs. We just did spray foam. They're actually just started sheetrock today. So it should be done in like a month, I would say. Like moved in.
What's your plan for that space?
Just bigger offices for us, because we've always had this like 20 by 40 office. Like it's worked fine, but it's like the style like sales office where everybody's desk is like right next to each other, where we're all kind of in the same room.
Yeah.
And then we have like the the art room and then the front desk area. But like I'd really like to have bigger space with like a break room and like my own actual office and like stuff like that. It's a big space, so I'm excited for that, but it's nothing I could do like production in.
So
So
what are you going to do then with your current office space? More production space, or?
I think what we have now is going to be just straight up showroom. Like where my
Okay.
desk is right now will be showroom, and then where the
Yeah.
art room is will
Yeah.
be like conference room, stuff like that.
How big is your production space?
Um, it's got really high ceilings. It's like maybe like I don't know, like 200 by 40 or something like that, or bigger
Yeah,
than
that's a
that.
good size. Yeah, that's a good size. So I would love to have even 3,000 square feet, but I would love to have 5,000. I think like after this, I got to find at least three or four. But we end up, if we end up trying to build a spot, I'm going to shoot higher than that, obviously, so that we
Yeah,
have, plenty of room to grow into.
yeah,
But we'll see. It's hard. Zoning around here is super hard to get anything that isn't already commercially zoned. Zoning around here is almost impossible if it's not already commercially zoned. It's nearly impossible to get it commercially zoned in our township. I don't know
yeah.
what it's like the rest of the county, but here it's super hard. So I think that's going to kind of limit our our options quite a bit on building. So we'll see
Mhm.
what happens. But
When did you decide to go from manual to auto?
um, end of 2018, I was just destroying myself, like just nonstop printing. Like wrists hurt so bad, your fingers start to hurt. Your back, my back really hurt because I'm tall and they don't make stuff for tall people. Um, so at the end of 20, like probably third quarter 2018, we were like nonstop. We were super busy, putting in like 60 hours a week printing alone, and then, hours on top of that for everything else. And so I had wanted to do it for a while, but I finally just did it. I'm the kind of guy that like really waits till the last minute. Like, dude, I let it like start affecting me before I start to make big decisions. So I finally was just like, fuck it. Like, I can't do this anymore. I really don't want to hire someone just to print. If I just had an auto, I could knock, this stuff out in half the time. And of course, like when we first started, that didn't happen, but it's definitely, there's no way I'd be able to do what we're doing now, even with two manuals, probably even three manuals. So to have it has been absolutely amazing for us, as it has probably every other printer that's gone from manual
Yeah,
to auto. So it was a long time coming, and it was probably overdue at the time. Just like our shop is overdue for bigger space, but I just kind of like, it's just how I am. I just really push it to the last, like till
yeah.
it breaks me, and then
That that's the
I
same
don't
way
know,
as I
man. I
am.
guess I just what's that?
I said I'm the same way, but I feel like honestly, so many times I've had that problem where like I wait to do something. Like I have an idea and then I want to do it, but I don't do it. I don't do it. I don't do it. And then by the time I actually do it, I'm like, well, shit, I'm glad I waited because now there's this opportunity that I wouldn't have had
Right,
if I didn't wait. You know what I mean? And
right,
I don't
right.
plan for that at all. Like it just happens. But there's shit like that
Yeah,
that it hits me in my mind. I'm like, oh man, I'm glad I didn't do that when I did it because I wouldn't have had this. Like
yeah, yeah.
we were planning on spending like 6-8 grand to like add a roof over like where we had our wood pile before, like literally a couple months ago. Like well, last fall I put in the paperwork like to get the code
Permit.
stuff permit stuff done, and it took him forever to get back to us. And I was like, all right, whatever, we'll wait. And then come to find out, now that we're doing the reno, we decided to like get rid of wood altogether, so I don't have to like come down here in the middle of the night, do all that stuff. We're gonna do all electric, like those ductless like heating cooling units throughout the building.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm like, if I wouldn't have waited, I would have wasted like 6 grand building a roof over a wood pile that's not gonna exist. But it's just shit
Yeah.
like that
I,
always happens.
I feel you, man. Sometimes it does work out for the better. And then I do feel like with the auto, though, like waiting too long, like I wish I would have started the process when we were busy. Like I waited till we slowed down to start the process. And then,
Yeah.
of course, by the time you get it in, you get everything installed, you get electric for the ports, you know, for the compressor and all that stuff. Then we were busy again, you know, so I missed that perfect window of like being slow and having the time
To
to
mess
figure
around
it
with it.
out
Yeah.
and learn it and mess around. Yeah. So in that scenario, waiting kind of screwed me, but I'm just hoping that waiting for this shop thing, like to expand here, works out. There was actually a building down the street from us, like 3 minutes from my house, that I was kind of bummed I missed. It sold last summer at an auction, but it would have been like the perfect spot for us. It's on a busy road, good space, but there's a bunch of them right in a line there. So I wouldn't say I'm waiting for the next one of those, but you never know if it,
Yeah.
you know, if it works out, it works out.
Well, it's like with this building, like I feel like buying something that's kind of a piece of shit is good because like over time you can put money into it and renovate it and stuff. Like I feel like
You can make it
you can make it exactly how you want it too.
exactly. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people just go and they're like, you know, like, oh, let me get a loan for like, you know, $3,000 or yeah, $300,000 or something, and they go buy this like fancy building that's all done and ready, and then they have a huge bill. It's like
Right.
I paid less for this building than I paid for my Sportsman.
Yeah. And with the renovations, I mean, if that place, that is cheap, man. I wish I could find a building. You ain't going to find no buildings up here for that
Right.
cheap, even piece of shit. But yeah, if you know, and then like you said, you can, by the time you still put money into it and stuff, you're probably still coming out way ahead.
Yeah.
You know, that's this building that actually sold. It was a piece of shit. Like the outside it was rusting, and like the doors were cracked and
Right, but
bad
that's shit you
seals.
can
And
fix.
exactly, the place, whoever bought it, they're right now, they gutted the whole thing, all new doors, all new windows. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and they probably got it for steel because it was so
My thing is
worn
like
down and not taken care of.
if you have water, electric, and a roof over your head that's not leaking, like you could get in
Yeah.
it, you could start your business, grow it, and then when you have profits, fix the place. Like,
Yep.
dude, like me
Yep.
especially, like all of our business is online. So like yeah, it's nice now where people can walk in and like come around, but like before, like we were in here for like 2-3 years with just straight up drywall on the walls, like no mudding, no taping, just the fucking drywall. And like it didn't
I
have to
mean,
look pretty because nobody came here.
right. Yeah. Yeah. We don't get a lot of in person either. I try and discourage it. Being an owner operator, it's hard to,
Yeah.
you know, it's hard to take that time. So we actually do a lot online. I'd say at least 60-70% of our business is online stuff, not local.
Yeah.
There's a lot of local shops. There's a lot of shops in the area. I could think of 7 or 8 right off the top of my head. So there's a lot of local competition. So I try and go past what's right here in our town.
Yeah.
And I think it works out better because there's better work than what's here.
Yeah, for sure. And
I mean,
plus it kind of like
me from what I do online and from what I post, like I don't really care about printing for Joe's Pizza Shop or
yeah.
whatever. Like I'll do it if Joe needs some shirts, I'll trade him for some pizzas. But I'm into the art side of it, and there's so many artists all over the world, you know, all over the
Exactly.
country,
Yeah.
all up and down the East Coast that are doing amazing things that I would love to work with. And so I really try and push getting out online to try and find cool work to do.
Right. Plus it kind of like saves you from like disasters that like happen, like Corona. Like everybody was doing just local or doing just schools and sports
Yeah.
teams and stuff. Like they're fucked.
I know some shops in heavy trouble right now because of that, local
Yeah.
shops. But yeah, we try and focus on, same with you guys, I know, but try and focus on the retail stuff, you know, the stuff that's sold online, the stuff and it just kind of worked out that way that, you know, we made it through this probably better on the you know, way better than we ever have. But
Right.
looking back, like I didn't plan to do that stuff in case anything ever happened. You know,
No.
that's just the nature of the type of work we do. That's just the kind
Yeah.
of work we do, and it just worked out for us.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't think I'd be doing this if I had to just print 5K shirts or whatever all day long. It wouldn't interest me enough to run it.
I feel like you're doing it as a business, just a business at that point. Like you're a manufacturer,
Yep.
you're printing stuff that comes in. I feel like I have to
Yeah.
make it interesting in order to want to do it all day long.
Exactly. I'd rather print 10 jobs of 50 pieces, but badass designs than one job of 500 for some, you know, some event or something.
Yeah. So how do you guys split it? Like, do you do printing and your wife does sales and stuff like that? Or who cleans screens?
My wife. Yeah, we call it Sarah work. Her name's Sarah. It's actually like, I don't know if you watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia. You watch
a little bit, not enough to know.
They call it Charlie work, like cleaning out the toilets and like emptying the garbage and stuff. So we call it Sarah work. She does the screens. It's not her favorite thing, but
yeah,
she does a good job. She's a beast. She's good in here, man. We work well together. There's a lot of people that I know that really couldn't like work with their significant other, but we work really well. We're in sync most of the day. Like when I'm finishing up a job, she knows I'm finishing up a job. She gets her gloves on. She's ready to start tearing that shit down. As she's tearing it down, I usually hop onto email, so I'm not waiting too long to get back to people. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like synchronized pretty well, I think, for the most part. But no, she does screens. She'll mix inks. She counts, folds, ships. I print. I burn screens, artwork accepts, proofs, billing. We kind of split, like, you know, some of the other stuff, like ordering shirts or going to UPS or just whoever's available. It's tough though, dude. It's really tough with just two people. I think like my problem is we're in a home-based shop. Like, no, it's detached, you know, we're in a separate building on our property, but we're still in a home-based shop. And so it's hard to just bring, and we got 2 kids. So it's hard to, that's the important part, because it's hard to just bring anybody to your house.
Right.
You know, you really have to I have to feel like I know them and feel comfortable with them. So finding someone that works here well has been a chore. And I think it's gotten me to the point where I'm like, we got to get out of here, because I'm never going to find somebody that's going to work well in our shop while we're here, because I'm not going to just let anybody around my kids, you know?
Yeah.
So
you're just going to have to wait that one out then.
I guess, man. I don't know. Yeah, it's been tough. It's the last couple months have been really draining. It's kind of starting to like wear me down quite a bit. You know, we'll figure it out, but we got to figure out something here before too long.
Yeah. What's the next piece of equipment you want to get?
CTS.
Yeah.
Because I spend a long time registering some jobs. I would love to, as much as I would love to get a bigger dryer, A, that can't happen here, but also B, I feel like sometimes registration on some of these jobs is like our biggest inefficiency. There are some jobs that, and I will say this, the Newman table that we got recently, since I've been stretching screens on there versus manually, that's made a huge difference. We set up 2 7-color jobs. One was registered with all but one screen perfect, and one was perfect from the start. And I've never had that before. I've never had, you know, something that close or that perfect right off the bat. So I will say the table helps with the frames, because we're getting more consistent frames. You know, more consistent tension. We can make sure that, you know, side to side, all 4 ways is, all 4 corners is good, you know. So that has helped, but I still think registration could be quicker. If I could get every job set up and registered within 3 minutes a screen, 5 minutes a screen, I'd be golden, man. I'd be able to produce at least an extra job or two a day.
That
Not
might
golden.
be
I mean,
that
I'm
might
still
be
going to be
your
behind probably. And
yeah, that might be your answer to your getting, instead of getting another person, just get a CTS and that'll shave some time off your day.
it's kind of like I'm not really thinking quite that much into it, but I will say, like, since we've been the way that we have, like, past couple months, like, every inefficiency I see, that's kind of been like my thing to tackle. Like,
Right.
her just cleaning plastisol squeegees. We went and got a Sherlock squeegee cleaner, and that sped it up easily a couple minutes to squeegee. And just
Yeah.
all those little things. That's kind of why I got the table, just to make screens easier, make them faster. So we are trying to really, like, become super efficient before we do anything major shop wise.
Yeah. When we got our CTS, it was like the same thing. We held out, and then we got it, and we're like, holy shit, we should have gotten this so sooner. Like I had this discussion with Andy a little bit ago on our other podcast, but we were talking about how we barely need registration marks anymore because it's on
Yeah,
every time.
I
Like,
remember you guys talking about that with Juan.
yeah,
Was
it's
that
a
the
huge,
episode, right? You
it's
were
a
talking
big,
about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big difference. Just
Which one
like
do you have?
I have the IMAGS.
That's the newest one, right?
Yeah,
It's like the
it's
smaller
new.
footprint.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
nice. I mean, we like it a lot.
space obviously for something like that is a concern in here because we're really out of it. But we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I could honestly see us getting moving out of here before we do that or anything else,
Hmm.
just because space has become such an issue,
Yeah, yeah.
especially in hoodie season. You know.
So
What do
many
you got?
extra
What do you got?
boxes.
500. Yeah, so many boxes just for one order of 200 hoodies. So I really think space is going to be the next thing that we solve, and then equipment wise, CTS for
Yeah.
sure.
You hit me up on Instagram about the discussion that me and Andy had about screens. Now, did you just do regular statics and then you went to Newman's, or did you try a bunch of stuff?
So we were on statics for the first 3 years, I think, and then I didn't really have any real reason why I went to Newman's. I just wanted to try something else, and I've been on them ever since. There's a lot of shops, a lot of bigger shops that say, they're cumbersome because you got to spend a lot of time,
Mm-hmm.
with them. But I really don't think it's, at least for us on our scale, it's not an issue at all. Once they're work hardened, I don't touch them. I mean, maybe every 6 months, 8 months, I'll check them just to make sure. But once they're work hardened, we just leave them alone. There's no reason to keep tensioning them for nothing. And it usually takes a couple months for them to get there, depending on what you're printing on them. But I never tried Sherlocks or anything like that. Roller frames just kind of stuck with me. As a print nerd, I like the control of them.
Yeah.
Being able to know that these 4 screens are within 2 newtons of each other. Those 4 are good for that job. So it really does help. I've noticed a big difference with them. I will say, the reason why I kind of looked into them in the first place was because I wanted to go to thin thread mesh when I was manually printing, to try and alleviate some of the pressure needed to transfer ink. Because it was, manual just starts to wear you down after a while. So you start to look for ways to make it easier on your body. So that was actually the reason why I went to them, because I tried to get thin threads from some suppliers, and they were either totally racked, or they would take 2 months to come in or whatever. So I was kind of getting frustrated waiting for them and trying to, fix the issues with them. So I got some rollers on a whim, and I haven't went back ever since. They're just awesome.
What mesh are you ordering for all your rollers?
So we have MZX rollers that we run thin thread mesh on, because the MZX are not meant for high tensions. They start to bow in the sides. They start to bow at like 30, 28, 30, somewhere around there. So we run thin threads on all of those because you only need, 20 to 25 to make them great. And then with the table, we've got a whole bunch of the M3s, and we're running Newman mesh on those, higher tension stuff. So we're still kind of playing around with them, but so far especially for Plastisol stuff, man, they kick ass. They're way better. I think for Plastisol, the Newman mesh is better than the thin thread mesh. The thin thread actually puts down too much. We like the thin thread on the MZX for water base. It's easier to get a better ink deposit, better ink penetration with it. So we're kind of feeling out the new Newman mesh. But so far for Plastisol, at least I love it. I like it better. So I think we'll probably, I could see us running a combo of both long term. The higher tension stuff for Plastisol and the thinner thread stuff for water base.
Mm-hmm.
I think we get panels. So we get the panels from Sherlock for the thin thread stuff. We use Murakami panels, and then obviously the Newman panels from Newman for that.
So for your whites, you're just using the regular Newman mesh, not the thin thread?
So for up until the past 2 weeks, I guess, it was all thin thread. But like I said, we just got it, so we're messing around with. I actually did whites on a 205 on the Newman mesh, and it was awesome. Like super nice hand, Plastisol whites.
Yeah.
Really nice hand, really nice bright white. So far so good with those. But yeah, up until 2 weeks ago, we were using thin thread for everything. So whether it was Plastisol or water based, we were using thin thread. And then, like I said, I think with the thin thread stuff, the Plastisol is actually almost it deposits too much at least for my taste. I like thinner the better. So.
Right. What white are you using?
For what? For
Plastisol?
Plastisol, or we started using Bolt, Wilflex Bolt. It's new. Have you tried it?
Mm-mm.
It's pretty nice. I like it. Before that, we were using Wilflex. Starts with an S. I can't remember the name of it.
We used International Legacy for years.
Yeah.
And then and then we just switched over to the Cool White. Just because it has international still.
Still, okay.
But they have it's just lower cure temp. So we've been using
that's why I like the Bolt. That's why I like the Bolt, and actually the one before, I can't remember the name, but both of them are low cure.
Yeah.
So we've gone through a little bit of the Bolt so far, and it's good ink. It's a little thicker, but we'll just mix it or reduce it if it needs reduced for something higher mesh.
Yeah. Do you feel like your direction of customers is like shifting to a certain way? Like, do you have, more of like clothing lines and stuff like that now, or do you still take like anything and everything? Like, do you have a specific niche that you like to stick into?
We do. But I will say that like I'm guilty of taking on shit that I really should not be taking on. Like we just did 100 bathing suits, and my wife was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, why did you even take this?" But no, we really try and stick to like either clothing brands, or we do a lot of breweries, a lot of craft beer shit. Really, like, I don't even know if this is a niche, but anybody that has cool shit, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to print cool art all day long. Niche. And I know that's, cool shit niche. I should turn that into a shirt. But yeah, we just, if it's cool, I want to do it. And so I don't really pigeonhole myself to any one industry. It's just kind of whatever comes our way. That's awesome. You know,
Yeah.
we'll reach out. Like, I don't reach out often, just because I don't have the time. Like, you'll notice on Instagram, dude, I post like once every month or like 2 months. We print so much cool shit, but I don't even have the time to like get good photos. And obviously, like, all my photos are planned out. Like, I don't just walk out and snap a photo and post it. We're so busy that we don't post half of what we print. And one of these days I'll like go on a tear and post every day for like 3 months straight, like the past 3 years worth of work. But it's just hard. It's hard with trying to do everything, you know?
Yeah. I'd say as long as you're getting the work you want to get and you're busy, then
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
There are some clients, there are some like things that we do that I would love to replace with better stuff, you know, more interesting work, like interesting to me. And some of what we do is good volume, but not interesting. But to me, that doesn't really matter. I'd rather print 100 awesome shirts than 5,000
Yeah.
boring shirts. And that's how I've always been. I honestly think that's kind of helped us get where we are with, you know, being not just so local and spread out, and getting to work with cool artists and cool brands and cool breweries and stuff. But there's always like some jobs that you just dread. You know what I mean? Like, you got it on the schedule and you're like, I got to get up and do that one in the morning. You know, and then once it's over, you're like back to cool shit.
Yeah, we try to have a good mix. Like, we definitely have a lot of cool jobs, but there's definitely a lot of ones that are just like, it's all direct to customer. It's not contract or anything, but it's just stuff to pay the bills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we
You
definitely
guys
have
don't
a
do
lot
any
of stuff.
contract?
Mm-mm.
No, by design, or there's just no contractors up there?
We had contracts for a while, like, I don't know, 5 years ago or so. We had a bunch of contract work stuff, and it just got to the point where we were kind of kicking to the curb a lot of our own stuff. You know what I mean? Like, the contract stuff was like, it has to get out today. It's priority.
Yeah.
And then we were like delaying our own orders, and it got to the point where me as an owner, I was like, fuck that. And I literally, like, one day just like fired all of them. I was like, we're done working with you. We're done working with you. And it was scary because it's nice getting those checks. But
Yeah.
I just got to a point where I was like, I don't want to do this every day. I don't want to do this. So I just told them all we're done.
I think the key, like, for shops like you and I, who could really care less about the most amount of work, you know, we're like, I feel like we're similar. We're not about putting out like pallets of work. Like, we'd rather do good stuff and like what interests us. But I think the key to, like, I think we have 3 contract customers, and we have those couple contract customers because they're just super easy to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they give us tons of time. Everything is thought out. You know, everything is proper. The garments are here well in advance. You know, their artwork's good. They don't complain. They're not rushing us. They don't, like, they're just,
but you realize that's super rare.
That is rare. But we've had other contract clients, and we make them leave. Like we don't say, we're not going to work with you anymore. We just say our turnaround is 9 weeks, you know, not 9 weeks, but like, we say, you know, when do you need it? Okay. Yeah, I can't do it.
Basically,
you know,
stuff they don't want to hear.
Yeah. And so eventually they just kind of see themselves out. So when we are doing contract, or when we do get contract customers, it's gotta be a certain way. Otherwise I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and the people that we have, they've been with us. The one dude has been with me since the very beginning, since I was manually printing. Just kind of bad luck on his part. His printer went out of business, and we just kind of stumbled upon each other on Instagram, I think. And but he's an awesome, he's a rare contract customer, but he's awesome to work with. He's takes care of us, we take care of him, and that doesn't happen often. So
yeah. No, as long as it works. I mean, I'm not against contract printing. I feel like it's not for us most of the time.
Yeah. So, and most of the time, if you're actually into what you're doing, it just doesn't work out.
Well, the other
like
part of
you
it
said,
is
you
too
don't
is
want to.
like,
You don't.
yeah, as an owner, you look at it and you're like, you're putting the best inks, best tools, best everything on this person's
Right.
job, and then your name's not on it. You know what I mean? You're
I
giving it to
struggle
somebody
with that
else.
a lot. I struggle with that a lot. Like, so, like the one dude that I was just telling you about, I'll do just because he's an awesome guy. Like, I'll do whatever. But some of the other jobs, I'm like, man, I could print this as water based, but why? Like, why fight it? Let's just put plastisol on it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's still gonna look good. It's still a great product, but why kill myself trying to get a
Right.
7-color water based print to print properly without drying out for a contract client? Like, because like you said, your name's not on it. And when you invest your, basically, not to sound corny, but your blood, sweat, and tears literally sometimes into this shit, and then you don't really reap anything from it, it kind of defeats the purpose. Like, my favorite thing is seeing these shirts or whatever that we spend a lot of time on out there in the wild, or like on social media, and like just seeing people commenting on them, like, oh, this shirt's awesome, that type of shit. Like, that to me is rewarding. And so if I'm not going to feel any sort of reward or gratification from a job, then I start to I'm not that I don't care, but it's not the same as when you're doing an end user job.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. Who do you look for inspiration on social media stuff, or books or podcasts or anything?
So obviously, I'm like a real print nerd. I really love this shit. I think like any shop really that's doing like that is on the same wavelength as me is like who I really like to look at. Like Sage Screen Printing down in Baltimore. I think they're doing really cool shit. Obviously, Juan's doing awesome stuff. Like, he's a total print nerd. You guys are awesome. I mean, New Buffalo Shirt they do awesome shit. Like, they're literally pioneers. So anybody that's really like that really is in the industry to nerd out on it,
Yeah.
So like when I'm looking at stuff online, like, and shops and stuff, like, those are the shops that I look forward to posting, is people that are doing, pushing the limits and like trying to better, not only like trying to put out good products, but also trying to better themselves as printers, and always open to like new ideas and new techniques. So that's kind of like when I'm on social, those are the places that I'm like looking at and spending my time on. There's so many shops, but to me, those types of guys and girls putting out, really into it, that are really into it like me, that's inspirational to me. Like seeing, like I said, Sage from Baltimore, like seeing some of their stuff, like it's inspirational because simulated process is something I really want to move heavily into. And we dabble in it here. We just don't get enough of that work. But I love that, man. I love it when a job like that comes together and looks awesome, and all the dots are there and everything's registered. And, when you engineer those prints and then they turn out the way you want them to look, that's really rewarding. So to find other shops like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, hey, dude, I'm glad we finally got to connect, even with a crappy internet connection.
Track me down, dude. Is it breaking up again?
A little bit, not bad.
I'm not even like, dude, I'm not even in the sticks or nothing. Like, we're in not a neighborhood, but we should have better internet connection. Looks like it's about to storm. I don't know.
It's just our luck. We finally get together and then the internet's shitty.
Yeah. I think luckily the majority of the people are going to listen to this and not watch it.
Yeah.
I know I listen to them while I'm printing, so I don't ever watch them just because I don't have time, but I'll listen to them while I'm working. So
yeah, I get people.
the audio is good, I guess.
Yeah, the audio is fine. I get people all the time that are like, no, I only watch him. And there's people that are like, no, I only listen to him. So you kind of have to do both. All right, dude. Well, I'll catch you later. Get back to printing.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll
Yep.
see you.
All right. Later.